everyone, it's Sky here. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new. So today we are starting on part 2 of our Hannah Lynn Halloween color along. So we, of course, are working in Hannah Lynn's Enchanted Halloween. And the image that we're working on is Pumpkin Patch Fairy, I believe her name is. So we got some of the sky done. This actually took like an entire hour, actually over an hour, just to do that, which is insane. I did not think that that would take that long. I am really pleased with how it turned out though, and now I'm a little bit worried about the moon and the cloud, but I think it's gonna look good. So I'm just gonna pop a couple pages of just loose leaf paper in behind this page here to protect the pages behind from ruining the tooth of them as we color. And then I'm just going to get my stuff situated here. All right, I totally forgot to plug my mic in, so audio is going to sound a little bit different here, hopefully better, but I guess that'll be a nice way to kind of tell if the mic does make a difference or not, because we'll have a little bit of both. So I grabbed the colors that I want for the moon. I'm not sure what I want to do with the clouds. Originally, I was planning on doing the entire background in the same color scheme, but when I went ahead and did a marker base on everything, I kind of used different tones so we could achieve a different tone while using the same colors. But I'm actually kind of liking the tones, so I think I will differentiate a little bit and keep the moon kind of more of like this yellow cream tone, and then the cloud more of like a blue, and then keep the background green, because I think that they work really nicely together. So with this moon, I do want to add a little bit of details to it. I think I'm just gonna pull up a reference picture of a moon and kind of work off that maybe. Okay, I like this one right here, so this is kind of what I'm gonna base mine off of. Let's go ahead and dive on in. We're going to start with the dark umber. I'm going to use this very lightly because I don't know how much of this I want. So see, we've kind of got the center of the moon here. Let's kind of have this little kind of patchy spot coming in from behind the cloud. So I'm just kind of loosely drawing these shapes in here. You definitely don't need to be any sort of like drawing artist for this. This is just loose shapes. I want to kind of blend them out so they don't have hard edges, because I want this to look a little bit more whimsical than the realistic one in the picture that I'm going off of. Maybe draw like a couple like little spots over here. Okay, so I think like that kind of looks good. Add a little bit of like a shadow just on the very edge up here. Make sure to fade that out. So I like how that's looking. I'm going to darken up the centers of these shapes a little bit and then fade it out. I'm not going to bring this color out any further than I already have. I think I'll darken up here just a slight little bit. Okay, I think that is actually looking pretty cute so far. So next we're gonna switch in to the artichoke. And I'm gonna use this over top of this color, and I'm just gonna bring it out a little ways. And I'm just gonna wing it at this point. I mostly just wanted this reference for the spots. And then I do kind of like this look too, so I might try and recreate that, but we'll see how it goes. I feel like that's a little bit more advanced and I'm not quite sure how I'd go about doing that, but it looks pretty neat and I'd like to try. So I'm going to put this completely over the dark umber. I'm not burnishing at all though, I'm just kind of adding this color in there, using this as another layer. I want the moon to be a little bit smoother, so we'll probably go over everything and burnish with our lightest color. That way it's all a little bit more melded together, if that makes sense. Let's maybe add a little bit of the artichoke down here too. There we go, just a tiny little touch. Okay, and here's where it's gonna start getting a little weird. And we're gonna start putting in the pale sage. And again, I'm gonna go over everything we've colored already, and I'm gonna bring this out a little ways. I'm gonna use a kind of light medium pressure just to really get that color in there, but it's not burnished. We're still gonna go over with our next color. But I think the only area I'm gonna leave mostly untouched is just up here, because that's where I want it to be the brightest. I think everywhere else I'm gonna kind of color over a little bit. So when we get to up here, I'm just gonna fade these colors out. Hopefully the lighting is okay. I can kind of fix it on the computer. I'm learning how to. It's not the greatest. I can never get the colors to show up properly, because as soon as I get one color to show up good, the other ones don't look right. So I've kind of given up on color correcting and more just playing around with the white balance to make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing. If I'm working with really light colors like this, though, it's a little bit difficult because I can't do that without really darkening up everything, and then it looks like demonic. So I try not to do that. Okay, we're gonna go in with our gray-green light, and I'm just gonna add this in up here. Should have checked to make sure mine was clean first, because it wasn't, and it transferred a little bit of color here, but I'll probably just go over that with white. So I'm just gonna lightly bring this down a little ways. Just on those lighter areas. And then we're gonna go in with our lightest color, which is gonna be the white. And I forgot to grab my swatch for that. Here it is. So just using a firm pressure, I'm just going to go over everything using small circles. And then I'm going to build up that pressure and really blend and mix everything together. I go over the black line too. I'll probably put white over that anyways, but I kind of want to see how it looks just kind of faded out. I think this ended up almost looking like more of a planet than a moon. Which wasn't really what I was going for, but I don't hate it. I think we'll add some white to that and see what we can do. So I'm gonna grab my Posca pen. I'm gonna start by making like these little crater things like I was talking about. Let's see if I can make those. So I'm just kind of starting with like a white dot, and then I'm just spreading the color out, or the pen out, I suppose. Just kind of letting it go and fade off as if we were doing like hair strokes. Got lots of like little dots, lots of lines. Lots of like little like circly almost crater things might be nice to add. I am going to outline this, I think. I'm going to leave a little bit of the faded part, I think, on the outside. But close to the inside, I'm going to whiten that up a little bit. While this edge is still wet with the Posca pen, I'm just going to grab my pencil and see if I can smudge it a little bit. It looks like it dried really quick though, so I don't think I'm going to be able to. Maybe a little bit. It might have smeared a little bit, but not very much. Maybe let's put like a couple little star looking things on here. Might look cute. There. I don't want to go too crazy, but I do like how that added a little something extra to the moon. And now I think it actually looks like a moon now, which is nice. Yeah, I like that. Okay, the cloud I'm a little bit concerned about. I really want to make it like super whimsical looking, but I don't really have an idea of how to tackle it, especially in regards to shadows and highlights, because my usual go-to is to just have the center dark fading out to lighter at the ends, which we definitely want to do in a sense, but I don't want to just do that because I think it's just going to look a little bit flat, and I think we can make it look more interesting. I just need to figure out how. So I'm just going to look up some reference pictures on the Hannah Lynn group and see if I can find someone who did the cloud in a way that my brain wants to achieve it. So I can see it in my head, but I don't know how to put it on paper. I'm not seeing it anybody who did it differently than how I want to, so maybe I'll just go ahead and do that. So let's start with the, I think for the cloud what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the opposite combination that I was talking about for the sky. So I'm just going to use this one here. I probably won't go as dark with the shadows, so we probably won't use the black. Well, maybe actually. That would make it very dramatic, which might be nice. Okay, let's do it. I'm gonna grab these colors and I will meet you back. All right, I think if I keep it here, we can have everything in frame. So kind of like how we did with the sky, I want to start off with our kind of like second darkest color. So I want to start with the indigo blue. And I want to bring this up and out a little bit. I'm going to go really light. That way if I decide I don't really want the indigo blue here, the other color that I use will probably go over this well enough and hide it. We're going to want some back behind here. So I'm just going to use this to kind of block out pretty much all of our shadows, I think. I think we're going to want it a little bit darker coming in from down at the bottom here. Okay, I think let's try and make this cloud make sense with the light of the moon. So since our moonlight is up here, and I'm going to ignore the fact that the moon is behind the cloud because that's actually going to make the lighting all different, but that's a little bit too complex even for me. So I'm just going to pretend that the moon is just up above the cloud but in front of it. So basically anywhere that the moon touches is going to be a little bit light, and then we're going to add a little bit of shadow to anywhere that the moon wouldn't be able to touch. And we're not going to make it extremely realistic. We'll probably still add some more lighter areas because we want that contrast, but it will add a little bit of extra interest anyways. I'm not going to like shadow under the wings or anything because I imagine that this cloud is quite a ways behind her, so her wings wouldn't really affect the shadows or anything. Again, just using a really light lay down of color here. getting the general idea for what we want to do. I think I like how that's looking. Let's go in and add our black. I'm going to add a little bit of black underneath this one here. I'm not going to go fairly deep with the black at all yet, just in case. I'm going to add a little bit back here. Definitely some coming down from the very bottoms. I'm totally okay if that's a little bit darker. I'm definitely coming back from behind the pumpkin, and this I know for sure I want a little bit darker, so I'm going to layer this up a little bit here. I'm not going to bring it out too far though, because I don't know how much I want to do. Let's put a little bit underneath this one. I have a feeling we might have to do 5 parts for this page. So I really want to work slow on this and layer this up. Play around with the colors to see kind of how they're going. Okay, I know I want it dark down here. Okay, I think that looks good. It would make sense that we would have more shadow over here since the moon is more on the left side. Okay, don't want to darken this up too much. Let's go in with our peacock blue next. And we're just going to bring this out a little ways from the shadows. Again, very, very lightly because I want to be able to put in more room for the lighter colors if we end up needing to. We still have like 2 more of the blues before we get to our gray-green light, which is going to be the lightest. So I think with what we have here, I have a general idea of what I would like to do. So let's just go ahead in with our black. I'm just going to layer some of these areas up a little bit. I'm not going to fully burnish it all because I want the black and the indigo blue to kind of work with each other to create a dark indigo blue, not full out black. So I'm just going to build up some of these areas a little bit more. I think I'm going to leave that one, but maybe over here I'll darken this up. I'm going to try my best not to bring the black out any further than I already have. And I'm also going to try to make sure that it's faded out a little bit nicer so it's easier to blend into those other colors. I don't really want any black kind of like on the outside, any of the cloud that's touching the sky. I want to keep the cloud lighter than the background. I think that's good for the black. Let's move on to the indigo blue. So I'm going to start by lightly coloring over the black, and I'm just going to keep going over and layering until they kind of start to mix together into a dark blue. Let's do the same thing we did with the sky. Let's work on this part of the cloud and then we'll tackle the other part. I'm gonna darken up the blue a little bit by this, I don't know what this is, this vegetable. It's like a squash or a gourd or something. I don't really know. Aside from pumpkins, I don't know what these things are. Okay, let's go in with the peacock blue now. And this is a little bit of a softer blue, so I'm definitely going to use this to finish burnishing these really dark areas. And I'm going to bring this out just slightly from the indigo blue. A little bit of a shadow with this color on this side here, kind of curling up underneath. And then I'm just going to keep gently bringing this color out a little ways. Just gently fading it out. Okay, I think I'm liking that. Let's move on to our aquamarine. And we're just going to keep doing these same steps. I'm going to keep adding these colors, going over top of the color we've just added. I'm going to try my best to leave the very edges light. So for instance, since I don't have a whole lot of room here, I'm just going to lightly put this color in just so you can kind of notice it's there, but I'm not bringing it out any at all. I'm going to sharpen my pencil. It's got one of those weird, like, hard parts in the lead. I don't know what they are, but they drive me crazy. Like scratches on the paper. I can't stand that sound. It's too reminiscent of nails on a chalkboard kind of sound. I don't like that. I'm not sure there's many people that do like that. All right, let's go in with our light aqua, which I'm going to sharpen this one as well. Same thing. With this one though, I'm lightly going to go over some of the edges where I think they would be a little bit darker. I'm going to leave the very tip of this alone. I want that to be pretty white. I'm going to leave kind of up here alone, and then the closer we get to the moon, I'm going to leave those edges alone too. Just going to lightly fade this color into the shadow colors, and then we'll slowly start kind of building it up to bring out. looks good. Before I come in with the lightest color, I'm just going to flick any of the darker pencil dust off because I don't want to smudge or contaminate anything. The gray-green light is going to be the lightest color. I'm going to make sure it's actually cleaned off this time and it looks okay. So I'm going to start in at the very edges, and I'm going to bring this in and kind of go over everything. And I'm going to grab a spare sheet of paper just so I can rub my pencil off on to make sure it's constantly clean when we're going into those highlight areas. I want to give the clouds a glowing effect, and this color is very good for that. So we're going over all of the shadows because it's going to create a little wash of lightness, and that's going to make it look like it's almost glowing. There, that looks so cute. So let's, oops, throw things around. Let's throw things around. We'll do that. Let's come in and start adding little highlights on some of these parts of the clouds. Now I'm concentrating these on the inside of the black line. You could probably get a little bit of a different effect if you go outside of the black line. It'll make the cloud in the sky look more unison, so the clouds won't stand out from the sky as much. I don't want that. I would rather the clouds be separated from the sky with that black line, and then just make them look soft and whimsical just by adding little lines and stuff. So I'm going to do thicker white lines up near the tops where our light is going to be a little more centered. Then I'm also going to do these kind of like broken little lines everywhere else as well. Maybe add a couple dots down here. I like that. It just adds a little extra touch. Hopefully I haven't moved my page too much. Okay, it's not bad at all. So I'm going to do this little piece here, because it's kind of on its own. Actually, let's do these two pieces together and then we'll do this piece. So let's go in with our indigo blue. So I'm going to darken up here a little bit and fade it out. We don't have a whole lot of room to work with up here, so I don't want to make it too dark. So I'm not going to bring these darker colors out quite so far, but they're still going to be present. So we're still going to notice them, but they're going to be very limited as to how much space they take up. Make sure we fade them out really nice though. Okay, we'll go in with our peacock blue. I believe this is the one that we used for our shadows, so I'm going to do the same thing here. That looks good. Aquamarine is our next color. We're going to pop some in here. Okay, that looks good. Let's move on to our light aqua. Actually, let's grab the peacock blue. I just want to tuck a little bit in here. Just a tiny little bit. Otherwise, I have a feeling that this one's going to turn out a little bit flat, and I really don't want that. So then we'll come in with our light aqua. Same as before, anything touching the outside or like the moon is going to be a lot lighter. So we'll leave it kind of like that. think I'm just going to color in this whole area here. I'm not burnishing or anything, but just kind of coloring it in a little bit more opaque with the light aqua. Okay, and then our gray green light, I'm going to sharpen mine. Make sure the tip is clean. Losing daylight here. I really hope that it's not too bad. Okay, it's not super bad. I should be able to fix it with the camera. I really don't like bringing up my ring light because with burnishing with the pencils, it makes it glossy and shiny, and then there's a reflection with the light and it just doesn't look good. I don't know where the sun went. It was there. All right, there we go. Bring our white back out again. Add a couple extra dots here and there. I'm going to add a little couple more down here. I like that. All right, so we just have this last part to do, and then that is going to be part 2. So same steps as before, we are going to go in with our indigo blue. And we are going to turn this black into a very, very dark blue. We'll fade our indigo blue out. Once you get the hang of fading your pencils out, which is basically like you start off with a firmer pressure or the same pressure, a lighter pressure, you build up those layers, and then you really, really lightly just keep adding little tiny bits at a time, bringing it out further with barely any pressure until it looks like it fades off into almost nothing. Once you can get the hang of that, that's pretty much it. Everything else is pretty easy after that. If you're doing blends with non-color families, though, it's still a little bit tough. Even I struggle still with that. Purple and orange, for example, there's a lot of times I want to blend purple into orange. And it just does not end up looking the prettiest, that's for sure. Gotta keep an eye on the time. Carbon's school is having a barbecue tonight. Apparently it's like a traditional thing, but COVID hit shortly after Carbon started going to school pretty much, for like the normal years, not counting kindergarten. I think kindergarten was his only normal year, and then COVID hit in grade 2, grade 1 I mean, and then was still lingering around in grade 2. Now he's in grade 3, and they're finally back to normal. So they're doing a meet the teacher kind of barbecue type thing, which is pretty exciting. I'm trying to be a little bit more involved and less antisocial. Not that I'm really antisocial, I'm just socially awkward, and I tend to kind of keep to myself because of that. I'm like always very anxious that people are going to think that I'm just ignorant and think I'm better than them, when really it's just I don't know what to say, and I'm afraid of making a fool of myself. But I'm trying to work past that. Working at the store has really helped a lot. I am like a completely different person at the store. I like to joke and say that I have 2 personalities, my Sev personality and then my normal personality. I'm trying to kind of combine the two, or bring a little bit of my Sev personality into my normal personality. I don't have to be so bubbly and outgoing that it's draining like it is at work, but I could do a little bit better. I think this is pretty much good. I don't want to make this too dark, even though this side is going to be darker than the other side. Yeah. Let's move on to our peacock blue. This one needs a sharpen. No, I have something on one of these papers or what, but it's like picking up these spots here. Usually it'll only do that if there's like something stuck somewhere. I'm not really sure. I have to color a little bit darker to get those out of there. That's okay. I'm not gonna come up to here too much because I want that to stay light, and I'm gonna darken that up too much. I already know. I've got a bad habit of doing that. And I also moved the page, so I'm just gonna double check where we're at. We're okay right there. I'm gonna leave that there before I darken this too much because we still have 2 colors to go before our lightest. Just gonna fade off of the aquamarine around here, I think. I'll add a little bit into this shadow, not a whole lot. I won't bring the aquamarine too far out, I think is my plan here, to try and keep things a little bit lighter, but they're also not gonna be super light over here, so maybe just lightly go over this area with the aquamarine, but we'll burnish, well not burnish, but we'll go over more with the lighter green to kind of soften that up a little bit. Okay, we'll go in with our light green here, or light aqua, I mean. Save little white spots wherever I can. Try and save a few on here too, while still getting that aquamarine color. I think I'll color this spot in, but then I'll leave some areas up here for the lights, gray green light. Yeah, and then we're just gonna start burnishing and finishing everything off with the gray green light. This turned out a little bit streaky here. I'm not sure why. See if I can kind of blend those out a little bit. Don't know where those streaks came from, but I don't really like them. Must have still had something on the pencil and didn't realize maybe. There we go. All right, we'll add in our white here, and then we are done for this part. Just gonna add little white dots. It's just sporadically over the cloud like we did in the last one. Not too much. Just a few here and there. And then we'll do our outlines. And there we go. All right, so that is what we have so far. I think she is looking super cute. I really like how this is looking. I'm glad I decided not to stick with the exact same colors throughout. I think the little bit of difference between the blue and the green in the sky really helps. And then I'm really glad that I decided to do the moon a completely different color than I'd originally planned, because I think that's going to look awesome. It's also going to kind of help tie in the pumpkins, because I think the pumpkins we're going to be using, I don't know if I want them bright orange. I think I'm leaning more towards like a yellow orange with like browns in there. I definitely don't want the same thing happening to our pumpkin from Ghost Ship, because if you guys remember, I was not too happy with that one. I tried my best to fix it, but it just looks so flat. It doesn't look three-dimensional at all. Thankfully, with these pumpkins, we have some great detail in there to work off of, so that will definitely help. But I think that's it for part 2. I hope you guys are enjoying. I somehow got pencil over here, so I'm going to erase that. All right, that's it for part 2. I hope you guys are enjoying, and I really hope to see you guys in part 3. As always, take care. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. All right, guys. Bye.